Because of the robbery of some students and some of the problems that we've had on York Road, there's been discussion about whether or not we would authorize or have a shuttle service that would run on the York Road corridor.
A lot of it was split between the administration trying to find out what the SGA had proposed and what would be a good solution. A shuttle service was proposed by the SGA, and there was some skepticism from the administration.
It's in giving a shuttle service to York Road, it's forcing the school to recognize that there's a large drinking culture at Loyola, and I think at a Jesuit institution such as Loyola, that's hard for faculty and administration to kind of deal with.
Especially being a Jesuit school with moral values in place, I think it would set a bad example for the students and for future Loyola alum.
My take on this, and I think a lot of Jesuits would agree with me, would be that college is that time when there is experiment with living and learning with regard to the making of choices and then living with the consequences of the choices, whether for the fostering of the person or for the detriment of the person, and that the school can't protect or shouldn't protect students from all of their choices, because that is really a regressive move educationally.
I think the safety would definitely be an issue. It would allow students to have a safer option to get back home, but I also believe that the implications of the bus drivers and their reputations would also be at stake, in the sense that they shouldn't be responsible for drunk students that potentially could be underage.
How do you take drunk students and make sure that there's discipline on the bus and that they aren't endangering themselves and endangering others, especially the driver who's driving them back to campus?
Are we enabling this type of behavior also? So all of those things have to be thrown into the pot, stirred up, and then figure out what's the best alternative for everybody and what are the liabilities for it.
I think that the safety of the students would increase 100% if there was a shuttle service.
Students would probably, if the situation was done in a correct way, would be safer on a shuttle, simply because it's under the jurisdiction of Loyola, and it is run by Loyola. City cabs, while for the majority are safe, some do hire drivers who aren't necessarily the safest.
It's a nice safety net for students if they know that it's too late to find a cab or there's too many people trying to find cabs. They're not going to be forced to find alternative means. They have that outlet now to go to the shuttle and take it back to Loyola.
I think that students, no matter what, have an option of transportation to and from the bars, so I personally do not think it would increase drinking, just increase, it would give an extra transportation possibility.
I think drinking is going to happen whether or not there's a shuttle there.
The kids that are going to go out are going to go out, and the kids that aren't going to go out are going to stay in, regardless of if there's a shuttle service back.
People aren't necessarily going to say, oh, I have a free ride home, let's all go out to the bar. I think it's going to be the same amount of people going out, no matter what, because nothing has stopped them prior to this.
So I don't know if you're enabling that anymore, or it becomes a question of it's already going to happen, and therefore you're just providing some service to accommodate that, or make it so it's a little bit safer. I don't know if it's going to increase or decrease. I know that it's a popular place to go. It has been for years and years and years and years and years. And so do I think that would change anytime quickly? And I don't think so, because there's not many options.
Our school tells many other possibilities of how to have fun on the weekends, and drinking is not the #1 option, and it shouldn't be.
There's a huge task force, mainly started by students, to develop things to do on the campus that would be truly interesting for students and would not mean you have to go off campus to have fun, and which would not be primarily alcohol related.
The reason that shuttles haven't been instituted yet is one is monetary reasons. The college would have to fully fund the endeavor, and that comes out of student tuition. So that means another kick up in tuition.
You can hear the argument that says that, oh, my son and daughter, they don't go down there. and they're not underage drinking, and you're going to provide this big service to the other folks. I mean, why should I have to pay for that piece?
If you're going to have every student coming out of the bars and trying to get a free ride from the shuttle, the purpose of it is kind of blurred.
And, whether you would charge a student $1 or something like that to ride the bus, or all those things are kind of in play. I wish that we were further along, but I think that the legal side, the review, is probably the thing that's going to be whether or not we're going to have to increase insurance. What does that mean? What's the great cost?
There would be big problems from students saying, oh, why we have to pay for a shuttle service for Loyola? This is our safety, blah, blah, blah. It's your job as the school to provide the safety.
I think in the end it's really going to come down to students being responsible for themselves, because if they aren't responsible for themselves, if they're drinking so much that they're stumbling in the road, if they're drinking so much that they're yelling and starting fights, if they're drinking so much that they themselves can't control themselves, there's nothing really that the college is going to be able to do with a shuttle service. What it's going to have to come down to, even if there is a shuttle service, even if they work something out with the cabs, it's going to be students being responsible, being mature.
Students who formerly were in high school, who perhaps were embedded in their relationships to the external world, taking responsibility in college for their commitments and their choices, which really is the emergence of what psychologists call developmental adulthood.
I wish we could eliminate risk, put a bubble around all of it and say, that now it's safe for everybody, but there isn't a way to do that in our society, and with the cost of that would be exorbitant and ridiculous.
In the real world, you don't have a tight holding environment where you're protected from everything. And this is that cusp time where you need a certain amount of safety, but if you give too much safety, it's high school, or it's not college. College is really developmentally a different, and it's a tough stage, but it's also full of great invitation to grow up.